Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This time we actually have a customer request to take a look at, well technically this isn't a metronome, this is a tuner. That's a tuner metronome and this is a metronome. Three different devices that all have their own specific issue. And I'll tell you what, we'll start with this one and then just move from smallest to medium to big. And just go ahead and make that decision right now. But I can set these aside and we can go ahead and look at what the customer had to write here. Still hear sound from speaker when plugged in external 1/4 inch cable to sound out jack, also small LCD issue. Diagnose and repair, 1/4 inch output jack. Diagnose and repair, minor LCD issue. Now I did have to reach back to the customer and just ask them what they meant by LCD issue, and he said it was a minor issue of some things not coming up on the display. So what's on the display? Well, I was able to find a manual for this guy, and we can see up here in the corner everything that should be on the display, barring what we're looking at. But we can go through a few things real quick. Good enough for us, the device does still turn on and the backlight functions on it. Now I'll zoom in real quick, just a little bit closer so you can see. Now barring where we're at, oh, I just turned it off. You can put additional things up on the display with the trans temperament function of this device. Otherwise this right hand corner remains blank. Obviously we have it in manual mode, so it's probably picking up my voice here a little bit. We can set it to different keys in which we're attempting to tune. We can also calibrate our frequency up here in the right hand corner between, what's the range? Oh, it's on here somewhere, 349 to 499. And I did run through that calibration off camera, and all those segments do appear. Now if we rotate, this should activate our VU meter a little bit better. Alright, you can see that moves, but it moves somewhat slowly. And then this section should allow the VU meter to move quicker. Alright. And this one should be more fast acting. So you can see that wavers back and forth just with me kind of making a tone into it, although incredibly off pitch. Anyways, that's our tone of A. We can see that the volume is halfway and then it's full. And already I'm kind of noticing an issue with this. I might need to turn off my filter, so give me a second. Okay, with the filters turned off, this 440 hertz tone, or the key of A, should be coming through and you should be able to hear it. Now let me turn it on to louder. And I don't know if you hear that, but there's definitely a rumbling sound. But when I turn it upside down, that distortion in the speaker is disappears. And now it's back. Even when we go to a somewhat lighter, less audio coming through the speaker. Now, in testing of the display to make sure that everything is popping up as it should, we can see in manual mode, manual is selected, and part of our display gives us the key, last key that was detected. And then in auto mode, we can see auto is selected, and when I do it, present a tone, oh, I got on there, there we go, that segment comes up. But in order to fully test this, what I'll do is I'll put it on sound, and we'll just run through all the keys. And I'm counting the segments on each, and annotating if we have specific things that come up when I go through the notes. And counting the segments, and if anything's missing I'll be able to tell just by running through our note range here. Alright, so there was one thing I did notice. you know, as I go through these notes, I'm not seeing any segments missing. Now on the manual, let me turn this off for a second. It has our key showing up over here, and then our sharp and our flat symbols. Those are populating. Now over on this other side, that's where our numbers show up, and I'm not seeing numbers, you know, depending on where you're at in the scale. It's basically the octave. But I'm not seeing any segments missing from it, but it does show a sharp symbol beside it. But I'm kind of wondering if that's maybe just a misrepresentation in the diagram, because how would your octave be sharp? Your notes could go sharp or flat, depending on their pitch, but the octave is just what the octave is. It's just where you're at on the scale, so that doesn't make any sense. But I'll tell you what, we can test over here on the right our temperaments, and it ranges between our entire scale, C sharp to B, C not display for C, and then our different temperaments down at the bottom, YG, VT, KN, KB, WN, MD, ME, and PG, each representing something different. So I'll go through it real quick. Actually, I'll demonstrate it for you. Turn it on, you press the temperament button, and you can see it come over here, and then you can just cycle through all the temperaments. Realize afterwards what it means by C not displaying as far as the temperaments go. It just turns off once you're back to that temperament until you press it again and it goes to C sharp. Alright, so with the screen test pretty much concluded, again, I don't think there should be a sharp that shows up there, but maybe under test we'll see something differently. We can go ahead and take a look at the output jack and diagnose it. Now what I've done is I've set up my transmission test set over here on my lab to the frequency of 440 hertz at neg 10 dBm. And maybe I can take off my filters real quick and y'all can hear that tone. Hold on a second. Okay, took off the filters and I'll turn up the volume to it. Y'all can hear that in the background. Now I'm going to turn the volume of my transmission test set down. And we will plug it into here. Got this back on. Let's put this into the in channel. And there we go. And it looks like our meter is just slightly off in calibration. But we'll plug in another cable to the out to see if that kills the sound coming out the speaker. And it does not. So we can check into that, but we need to verify if that's exactly how it should function with the device on or not. Now, in order for me to make that determination, I'm going to have to disassemble it, but for right now, we'll just check the calibration of this. Hold this down, turn it on. Yeah, and we can see that the VU needle is not directly on 0, so we have to take the battery cover off just to be able to test that anyways, or align it. Now I've got my filters turned back on, so hopefully most of this tone gets filtered out when I turn it on. But my plan is to align it slightly differently. Let me put it over here. Slightly differently than what the instructions call for. The instructions call for aligning it while it's in that test function. I'm going to align it to an actual true tone coming through. So while this is on and this is there, I'll make adjustments on this pot here to get it to align to my calibrated device that's up on my bench. This might be a bit difficult for me to do and try to film at the same time. You can see it moving right there. tab it over, bring it down a bit too much. I think about right there. Okay, so I'm going to turn it off. Hold down this button, turn it back on. Oh, did that wrong. Yeah, we're back on true 0. So I think the rest is just going to be taking this apart and determining if with the output jack, if it truly is supposed to disconnect the speaker when the cable's plugged into the out. But before I take it more apart, I'm going to read in my manual real quick to see if that's the case. So I'm not wasting my time taking this whole thing apart. Okay, and then reading of the manual, I found a couple things. And I'll read this to y'all as well. If you're using an instrument with a pickup or contact mic, connect the input jack to the OT-12 to the cable plug with your instrument or mic. If the output jack of the OT-12 is connected to an amp, the sound that is input to the input jack will be output without change, meaning it's still going to come out of the speaker. Since this may cause noise during your performance, set the power switch of the OT-12 to off. If you're using the internal mic of the OT-12, tune without connecting a plug to the input jack and output jack. If a plug is connected to the input jack or the output jack, the internal mic, that is this mic right here up front, cannot be used. And then there's a note here. The input and output jacks are for mono use only. Stereo plugs cannot be used. So essentially what this is saying is you have to use mono plugs, meaning you're only going to have basically 2 contact points. The stereo is going to have a third one, and you'll see a little divider in between it. That's the first thing it's saying. And it's also saying that if you are using these jacks, okay, now I've got this off right now. But if I was to turn it on, I would output a sound, and then this would not kill the sound. So I must turn it off to get rid of that noise, which I can do, and that you know, in the performance of the device, that's basically what it's stating. But that being said, we will test this just to make sure that the output still works with an amp that I have. And I'm also going to, even though he didn't ask for it, I'm going to go in and see why that speaker was causing the distortion when it's laid down. So I will rectify that, and we have also actually aligned this as perfect as possible based upon a true frequency coming through it. So not some things that he asked for, but they were things that I noticed. I'm not going to charge them for those things, to be honest, because essentially I don't see anything wrong with this device, although it was nice to look at and play with. And there are some things that we can do to improve it a bit, such as the alignment and taking care of that distortion. So I'm going to get this guy apart. Now, real quickly, here's that transmission test set that I was talking about. Again, 440 Hertz, -10 dBm. Output to here. Currently I have this on sound back at the low volume setting, even though it's probably still loud and annoying. And there goes the guitar amp that my guitar amp that we did a little bit of a restoration on a while ago. But I'm going to plug it into the output. Hold on a second. There we go. And now we hear it coming out of both devices. Turn the volume down. So you can still hear it coming out of here. But let's turn this off like the instructions say. And am I still getting audio out of here? I am. So, but we will address that distortion in the speaker, see if there's any fabric or something missing that's causing that distortion. We've aligned it, so we'll take it apart and take a look at that real quick as well. Okay, taking it apart was not a really big issue. Essentially one screw, and then we slightly worked at the plastics, because this is an older tuner, to just apply a little bit of pressure to pry the back off, essentially around the two clips up top and the two at the bottom. So we don't want to break anything, but we have immediately found the cause of that distortion. At one point in time, your buzzer right here, the speaker, would have been glued inside of here. You can see right around the edges, the remnants of the old glue, but it has since worked loose. I did not cause that by taking this off. It was just lying in here like this, not attached. So that is the reason why it gets distorted, because it's just falling wherever it's wanting to, and obviously the diaphragm is touching the plastic somewhere. I see nothing immediately in here. Might remove the board just to look around and clean it up a bit, but nothing immediately in here is telling me that once the output jack is plugged in, that it's going to disconnect the buzzer. Okay, now I might flip it over and take a look at the ICs, but we've already verified that in our instructions, so I'll let the customer know that. I will fix this speaker, and you know, I have a discussion with him over email about it. But yeah, that's all I'm going to do for this device. Okay, we've got it back together. I'm going to give it a quick test out. Maybe I'll turn the filters off so y'all can be annoyed with me here. I got them all off. All right. Still turns on. Seems like the VU meter is still working. Sounds there, that's good. And I'm not hearing any more distortion now with that speaker glued back into place. So that's good. Temperament's still functioning as well. And we'll test it back out again with my amp. And yeah, looks like our out is still functioning per the instruction. Let me turn this off. And we get our key of A coming out of the amp still. So I'm gonna call this one good. We're gonna move over to a different one. Okay, we're moving over to the Boss, or I think that's how you pronounce this brand. I can't remember. Micro monitor and tuner TU-88. Customer wrote, product died, changed battery and will not power back up, battery connector issue. That's what he assumes is going on. Diagnose and repair battery connector. So we can surely diagnose that. Again, this is not something that I have ever used myself, but I have general awareness. Looks like it uses a 9 volt, so let me grab a 9 volt, see what we got going on. Okay, I've got a known good 9-volt in here. We'll put the case back on. As I struggle with it. There we go. And let's turn it on. Okay, so this appears to not have an issue with the battery connector. Maybe the customer was using a dead 9-volt battery. Could be. I'm not sure what to do about this one. All my customers pay for shipping, so if the item's not broken, I'm not going to charge them for a repair that doesn't exist. You know, they'll just be paying for the shipping of these devices back. But we can at least let's test out the metronome here, and maybe I can turn off the filters a bit. All right, there we go. Volume wheel seems to be working. And yeah, it looks like we can go between full note, quarter note, 16th note, you know, all that kind of different stuff. It does have a mute function as well. That's cool. Can we change the speed? Most certainly can. Does the tap function work? Yes, it sure does. Okay, let's test the tuner here real quick. The mic's already picking me up. Boo! Yeah, my awfully off-tone pitch there. But we can set up the Tims again just to see how accurate it is. I'm gonna get my Tims turned on. Yeah, Tims is on now. I'll turn the volume down on it. And let's plug it in. Ooh, is there a plug-in for this one? Yeah, here we go. Here goes an input. And it's saying that we are on key, so that's good. I've got a tone of 440 hertz coming in, and I'm registering 440 hertz, the key of A at the octave of 4, the 4th octave. So I would say that this tuner works. I don't know what else to do about this. So I think we're going to set it to the side and say that you know, this unfortunately I feel like the customer needed to check his 9-volt battery, but it is working. This now moves us to the Boss DB-66. Kind of got it slightly propped out of its case, in which the customer wrote, product died, changed battery, would not power back up, battery connector issue, question mark. Also small LCD issue. Diagnose and repair battery connector, diagnose and repair LCD. So hopefully this is not the same. He didn't test with the same battery and maybe tried to use a different 9-volt. But we'll test it out in the lab, and I'll get a 9-volt into it, and we'll see what's going on. Okay, I've got my known good 9-volt in there. Slide on the back. And yeah, this appears to be working. What's the I wonder what the LCD issue is. Volume control, beat level, different sliders here. Interesting. Well, I'm not seeing a screen issue, but we do have what appears to be a small speaker issue. Sometimes the tap is coming through, sometimes it's not. Or sometimes the metronome sound is coming through, sometimes it's not. Probably hard for y'all to hear, so I'll take off the filter so you can hear it. Alright, filters are off, so it's going to get a bit noisy. And we'll see if it does it again. Well, in all honesty, I think that was just simply due to these pots being dirty. So, I mean, we could clean that up, but I'm not seeing any issue with this. Our counts are working. I'm going to pull up see if I can find an old manual for this. Let's see if the tap works. How do we tap? So put it over to tap and double press. There we go. Oh, it's counting between 4 counts to know our tempo. Okay. There we go. Yeah, tap does work. So I need to download a manual for this one and take a look at it, and we'll see if there's an actual issue with the LCD. I'm not seeing one just by this. Okay, so again, this might get a little bit noisy. In testing of the device, yeah, this LCD right here, all the segments are there. I tested it off camera, found a manual for it. However, I should have a tone coming out of the speaker right now. So yeah, there is an issue, but not really with what the customer was stating, mostly due with the total volume pot, which is something that we can rectify. So I'll get this apart and clean that up, and that should take care of that issue. got it back together, and we'll go ahead and test it out. But in order to do that, I need to turn my filters off so you can hear what I hear and get annoyed with me. So all my filters are now off. We will start it up, turn up the volume. I need to turn this up. No more crackling in the volume, that's good. Let's bring in the beat level. We got that. Alright, I would say that we've done it. So I'm gonna button this guy back up, email the customer, and let him know what I found out, and see what he has to say. All that being said, you know, not really much to do with this. You know, it was a customer repair, but yeah, let me know in the doobly-doo what you think, if you found this video interesting. Okay, I originally had a different ending to this video, closing it out. But I did speak with the customer who sent in the tuner metronome combo, and explained to the individual what I noticed in lieu of what he wrote was wrong with the equipment. And I'll just refer to him as Dr. Metronome at this point. But anyways, Dr. Metronome didn't seem to have any questions. Yeah, we sent the invoice in, and he paid it. And he also, and I didn't charge him for any parts, because essentially, yeah, it just wasn't much to repair. So reduced a bit of labor for him and charged shipping. But he paid the invoice, and he also sent a tip, which, well, Dr. Metronome, I can only express so much how much that's appreciated. And thank you for choosing HFR as your preferred business for repair of these devices. So I just want to make sure that I express that in this video that will be published publicly on my YouTube channel. That being said, anybody who is in need of a repair, if you're new to this channel or whatever, please consider subscribing and liking this video if you enjoyed it. If you're in need of repair, business information is down in the description. Or if you need a restoration service like this radio I have in the background that I'm still working to price out, you know, we can work out a deal on that as well. But anyways, thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye.
Mark?